Come on, Wes, you gotta do this.
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Wes, back at you another video. This is going to be a long video. Basically, me just doing analysis on what's in store for this game right here. This wonderful game that all of us been waiting for. It comes out this year. It's called Absolum. .emu. They blessed this guy Maximilian. Shout out to Maximilian. They blessed him with the demo of the game. I think it's right now beta. I think it's two of the developers of the game. They came in his stream and they basically was talking about the game. It was like I guess a little pseudo interview demo playthrough of the game. So as Maximilian was playing through the game, he was asking questions about the game, pertaining to the game, to the developers, and they was answering them, along with them guiding him through the game and just telling him little things about the game. So yeah, this is gonna be like I said, it's gonna be a lengthy video, but I'm going to like cut up and present to you guys key point things that stood out to me. I'm gonna put a link to the stream of Maximilian's full stream of the game in the description below. That way, anybody who's interested in like just really looking through the video as many times as you want, you guys and girls can. So with that being said, let's get it crack. Also, I'm very excited about this game. I can't wait for it to come out. The game seems very polished even for a beta right now. There's probably some bugs, obviously, but game definitely seems polished. So yeah, everyone, I'm going to present key points, things that stood out to me. Let's get started. So it seems to me that .emu was have been working on this game for about 3 years. Again, they've been working on this game for 3 years. So give or take, we're in like 2025 and is about to release. They've literally made this game, or rather started making this game 2022. So that was honestly, they've been working on this, I would say, a little bit after the DLC for the final DLC for Streets of Rage 4, because I think the final DLC for Streets of Rage 4 came out around 2022, because they had Mr. X Nightmare, but then after that they had something else on top of that. They had like the whole cabinets, they had Mania Plus, like extra stuff after Mr. X Nightmare, if I stand corrected. They've been in the kitchen with this game a little bit after Streets of Rage DLC was released, like the final DLC. So that's pretty dope that these guys are like, they work, their work ethics are crazy. Like as soon as they done with one game, they already working on, as soon as they like patch up and finish another game, that's it. But the thing is though, is that they was also working on Turtles. Let's see when Turtles was coming out. Let me see when Turtles came out. Let me see the release date on that. So yeah, Shredder's Revenge came out June 16th, 2022. The DLC came out, let's see. They were still working on a lot of projects. So literally a bit after Streets of Rage DLC, the final DLC came out, they worked on Turtles. Then while they was working on Turtles, they was working on this. Like literally almost, I would say simultaneously, but obviously they had Guard Crush and Super Monk working with them on this project. While they was working on Turtles and like the tail end of Streets of Rage DLC, the final DLC, they was working on this game Absolum. But the thing is that .emu was smart about it, because they didn't really have to change much of the combat. So the way I'm seeing this is .emu worked on Streets of Rage 4, the DLC, and Guard Crush helped them with the fighting mechanics, right, of Streets of Rage 4, right? They didn't, I don't think that Guard Crush worked on Turtles with them. So in between the tail end of the Streets of Rage 4 DLC and Turtles, that's when they was able to work on Absolum, like prior to the fighting mechanics, you know. And they just got a Guard Crush to help them with that, and then Super Monk also helped them with that, I think. So these guys, they don't like, but the whole point of this is just me expressing like these guys, they don't really take breaks, man. As soon as one project is pumped out, they get the next one pumped out, and you know they forge a good team of different different allies to help them with these projects. So yeah, these guys, again, 3 years in the making so far. So I think that's a decent amount of time to work on a beat 'em up of this caliber. So again, 3 years it took them to make this game. 3 years, and it's not, they're not finished with development of it. I'm assuming they should be finished very soon, since it's coming out this year. But so far, man, they doing a good job. I know everyone's wondering, is this game? I know in my past video, I believe I covered that it's going to be 2 players, not 4. But it's confirmed that the game is going to be 2 players, not 4. 2 players, not 4 players. I'll explain later why they made it just 2 players, not 4, but it's 2 players, not 4. Now, when it comes to the arcane meter, that is going to be your arcane meter is like your special meter, like your special bar. So think of it like Streets of Rage. Let's just say Streets of Rage in general. But you know, you got your special meter, but in order to use it, you got to fill it up in order to be able to perform a special attack. I guess they did that so it doesn't be cheesy in the game. So this game is a little bit different in regards to how frequently you could let go of specials. Do your arcane is your special is your arcane. So you can only do your arcane, your special attack, if you fill up the arcane meter. Maybe during the final build, they might actually do something with maybe different levels of arcane or whatever the case may be. I don't know. Or if you want to use a special attack, they might do the traditional beat 'em up thing where if you use your arcane early without filling up your meter, it takes from your actual HP. I don't know. But so far, it seems like the arcane meter is your special and is just tied to your special. And they limit it to, I guess, 1 special every time. 1 arcane move you do per filled up meter, you know. So that's basically arcanes are your special. The game is going to have D-pad support for all you old school players that don't like using analog for 2D games or beat 'em ups in general. The game is going to have D-pad support, you know, so you don't have to be confined just to your analog stick. The game is going to have dashing and running. There's a difference between dashing and running. Dashing is basically a quick spurt, like a quick boost, like per se, you know. A run is literally you know, it's something, the next step from walking. So that's the difference between, if people want to know why do they add, like, what's dashing and running? Those are two of the same things. No, dashing is different from running. So you're gonna have the dash and you're gonna have the ability to run. So that's pretty dope. I appreciate them putting those things in and putting those new features, because quite frankly, I wasn't a fan of Streets of Rage 4. I wasn't a fan of how certain characters could run and certain characters couldn't run. I feel that after Streets of Rage 3, how all characters could run, I think they should have just kept that as a staple in the game. Well, every character could run, but obviously everyone has different run speeds. But you know, I'm glad that they add that in this game. It seems like every character has the ability to dash and run. So this game has different optional expeditions you could do, which is dope. You know, like just, you know, different kinds of tasks. So, I mean, not every path is the main path. They're optional. So that basically leaves things open for, like, you know, secret items, secret bosses and things like that. So that's pretty dope that they added that to beat 'em up. You don't really see that much you don't really see these kind of things in beat 'em ups, to be honest. Because beat 'em ups over the years, they have been very linear and straightforward. So it's dope that they added that in this beat 'em up. So there's 2 kinds of parries. There's a deflect, where you stand in place and parry. So that's kind of like almost a traditional parry. So there's another kind of parry, and you perform it by dashing, and that kind of causes like a clash between you and your enemy. So, and the thing about this parry, it's a lot harder to do, but you're rewarded a lot more, which is pretty dope. That there's different kinds of defensive options in this game. I like different defensive options and beat 'em up, which is pretty damn dope. I just hope, like I always say, don't give the protagonist all of this stuff and antagonists don't have much. What happens is the game becomes very easy, very repetitive. You get tired of it soon. Yeah, that's just my gripe. My personal gripe. It doesn't have to be yours at home or anybody else, but that's just my personal gripe with beat 'em ups. I don't want them to be super duper easy. And I would like to just see a lot more from the enemies that I'm fighting. Like, I want some kind of like difficulty or some kind of decent like challenge, like back and forth when it comes to the combat system. So hopefully they give the enemies a decent amount of defensive and offensive, along with us having the same, you know, decent amount of defensive and offensive options. One thing I noticed in this game as well, watching Max's playthrough, they really like, I wouldn't say unforgiving, but they really don't give you a lot of healing places. Like, there's not too much areas you're gonna heal. You're gonna get HP, so you're really gonna have to like be on your P's and Q's in this game, you know. So that's pretty cool. And the thing is, though, I think that's part of a roguelike. You know, roguelike, they don't really give a lot of health. You really gotta like earn your keeps in this game, in that genre, because the buffs you get, the things that help you, like help you build something that's like, build a character that's kind of ridiculous, you know, to the point where you shouldn't be getting hit. So I like that kind of approach with this game, that they didn't have the same approach for this game as they did with like Streets of Rage or maybe even Turtles, where they leave like a chicken or pizza on the floor like every few like enemies you fight, every few waves of enemies. You know, the design of this game, I think, doesn't call for that kind of health distribution. You know, it doesn't. So in this game, there's different paths you could take, which is pretty dope. I think that was mentioned in my last video. Yeah, so it's confirmed. It's reconfirmed, double confirmed, or whatever you want to call it. There's more paths you could take. There's different paths you could take in this game. So again, that leaves things open for more replayability, different boss fights, different enemies, different secrets, a whole bunch of stuff. So that's pretty dope. And it's something that's been a long time coming when it came to beat 'em ups. Not all beat 'em ups do it, but honestly, man, I really think beat 'em up should adopt that. I really think beat 'em up should adopt having different paths. Like almost not every beat 'em up, but that should be close to like almost every beat 'em up. I'm not even gonna hold you, man. I like that they added that in there. So as far as I know, people at home are wondering, like, is there any kind of cool canceling and things like that in this game? Yeah, there's I believe jump or dash canceling in this game. You could do the move, so that opens up for different combo strings. So that's definitely confirmed. You could do canceling from, I think, dash or jump in this game. So that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Not too many beat 'em ups have that, so it's good that they're doing this. And I hope they set the precedence for beat 'em ups to have like very in-depth combat. Because think about it, beat 'em ups, in my opinion, I think either beat 'em ups came before fighting games, but honestly, I think beat 'em ups need an upgrade. We need more evolution. You know, take a page out of the book of fighting games when it comes to different advanced techniques, fighting styles, different move sets, things of that nature. You know, I think it's time now to bump it up. Like, we could honestly just do something to where we add all of these advanced technique and then make like you do in Street Fighter 6, add like modern control to people who want to be able to perform these kind of combos and special moves easier, you know, and just have a good time with the game, you know. And then there's the option to just have regular controls where you got to actually perform the full commands of these moves, you know. So I'm glad that they added different cancels and different abilities that you could do in this game. So in this game, they have about, based off the demo, there could be more, but I think at the very least right now, you can have up to 10 different special moves you could choose from. But the thing about it, based off the demo only, this could always change during the game's release, that you can only equip one at a time via special move. I guess they did that so you don't go, so it won't be like all crazy or willy-nilly when it comes to using all of these special moves. You know, things could change, but this is based off the demo. So again, you have up to 10 to choose from, but you can only equip one at a time. So I guess that's the balance for now based off the demo, but things like that can always change during release of the game, you know. Or maybe when DLC comes out, they might allow you to equip more at once. Here's something that's really good, that's really cool. You can actually side dodge from plane to plane. I know a lot of beat 'em ups, and I think me and my beat 'em up bros were talking about this. Like, a lot of beat 'em ups suffer from horizontal, not horizontal fighting, but vertical fighting, meaning not jumping. I don't want people to get confused by vertical and horizontal. What I mean, not vertical like jumping and doing air combos and stuff. No, vertical. When I mean vertical and horizontal, or rather horizontal and vertical, I mean going from plane to plane. So again, like I said in one of my last videos, I'll be saying this a lot. But they say this is the plane, right? The plane are like just different, like the foreground, the background, stuff like that. Those are the different planes on the stage. And sometimes what happens is it kills the tempo of a beat 'em up. If you fighting one enemy that's on, like, let's just say there's 3 planes, right? Or let's say 2. There's 2 planes, foreground, background, whatever, right? There's an enemy up on the in the background. There's an enemy on the foreground. You're on the foreground fighting one enemy, and do you want to quickly like stun an enemy on the foreground and then go up to the enemy in the background and do something? Traditional beat 'em ups are limited when it comes to movement options. So what happens is when you stun the enemy on the foreground and then try to go up to the background, you don't have there's no abilities for you to kind of like dodge up to the background to that other enemy. So by the time you stun that enemy on the foreground and you go up to the background, the enemy on the foreground is already out of stun, and then now he or she's after you, and then now you got let yourself you know in a situation where two people is trying to jump you. Now with a game like Absolum, right, you're able to dodge in and out of different planes. So that whole method that I told you about, that whole kind of tactic I told you about, like stunning one enemy and going up to the next, it's possible because now the fluidity of the combat is very good and is intact. So I'm glad that they added a feature or ability to the character where you're able to just go from plane to plane seamlessly. So again, you're able to dodge from plane to plane. And there's more to it too. I'm going to explain a little bit later. There's more that you could do with the dodge going from plane to plane. Now there's wall bouncing in this game, just like Streets of Rage, wall bouncing. So that basically opens up for more combo strings. And also, yes, you can wall bounce enemies and bosses. Like bosses are not exempt from getting wall bounced still. And I think even us as the main characters, we could get hit with wall bounces as well. So everybody seems like they're susceptible to getting wall bounce in this game. So that's pretty dope. And I'm here for it, man. I'm definitely here for it. So it's going to be a crazy combo time. Another cool thing about this game is you can upgrade regular attacks. So things like grab, you could upgrade it. What I mean by that is, so far what I saw in the demo, what Max did was he was able to upgrade his grab by giving it more range. Meaning his character, sometimes, you know, when you grab in place. But then I saw him being able to upgrade his grab to where it had more range, meaning he could slide with his grab. That way, you know, if an enemy is a little bit further away, instead of you maybe going a projectile or trying to do a dash attack or something like that, you can actually run and dash grab your opponent, which is pretty dope. It's a dope feature to add, or rather to build up on your character, to give your character. So I'm glad they added that kind of thing in, because again, the more you add like that, the more your character gets developed, the more you build upon character development. So I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. Again, my last video, you were able to hire mercenaries. It's still intact. It's still there. You're able to hire people to you know, fight with you. So you see, I so far saw like a regular guy with a staff, like some castle guard with a staff, and then a sword, and then you have like a goblin help you as well. So you know, you have little minions you can hire to help you. They don't cost too much. It looks like they cost like 10 coins or something like that, whatever the currency is called in the game. But you give them like 10 of those and you're good to go. And then it's just like AI helping you fight. It's not too much, but it's good to basically give your enemy some kind of distraction while you handle whatever crowd enemies or whatever enemy you wanna fight. So you know, everything counts. Everything has its place and value in this game so far. Oh, so now, like I was saying before about the whole dodge mechanics, right? You could expand upon it. You can not only have the ability to dodge up and down through the planes, but you're able to do something out of, like, they took a page out of Fatal Fury. It's called sway and strike, meaning you're able to dodge diagonal up and down. And then when you do that, you have the ability to sway, which is, you know, dodge up and down diagonally, and you're able to strike after that. So you have the ability to like weave between like a whole crowd of enemies. So that opens up a lot of combo strings, replayability of the game. Also just different, you know, combos. I can see combo videos and things like that I can see from you speedrunners out there. I know y'all gonna be salivating over things like that, man, because again, there's not too many beat 'em ups that have this. There's not. I could count maybe on my fingers how many beat 'em ups have some kind of like sway and strike feature to it. You know, if there's even any to begin with. You know, especially these days. I know Streets of Rage didn't have nothing like that, so they built upon the fighting system, like, you know, the core system of Streets of Rage, and they expand upon it. Because this game, to me, it seems like they actually took the engine of Streets of Rage and they basically added upon it, you know, different things that they probably wanted to do with Streets of Rage 4, but they didn't want to put too much. They didn't want to overwhelm people with different ideas that they had. So I'm glad that they added this sway and strike feature in the game, you know, because based off some of the bosses I've seen so far that Max had to fight, it seems like they have the ability to like go diagonally between plane to plane, like seamlessly. So this is definitely a feature you'll probably definitely need going further in the game, because the demo, usually demos they don't show the full capacity of the game when it comes to the enemies you fight, how difficult they can become, how many enemies they really gonna have on the screen. So yeah, this is definitely something that's dope. I know you guys out there who love animals, who's waiting to play or use the mounts or the boars or whatever you can mount on in this game. Yes, you can pet your mount. So that's pretty dope. That's cute. That's a little cute. You know, it's not nothing that's a deal breaker, but you know, it's a cute little feature. You know, they attention to details, I would say. You know, because they didn't really have to do that, but I guess they took it even further. Be like, all right, since you on the mount and everything like that, you might want to pet them just to feel like a little bit closer to the mounts, or rather feel closer to the characters that you are utilizing to help, you know, progress in the game. Now for the composers. I know we talked about a bunch of composers already from my last video on this game, but they have guest composers. In this particular video, they featured a guest composer, and I don't know if he's going to be in other stages in the future, but so far they have, like, it looks like they pulling all the stops when it comes to composers. Like, they literally forming the Justice League of composers for this game. Like, so far they got a composer from Ori, Elden Ring, and then the guest composer they have is a composer from Doom. So that's pretty big. That's pretty big in my opinion. If they got those guys, then that means people respect their craft. People respect, as some people call it, like gangster from Daimyo. Like, they really respect these guys and they want the game to be successful. It's not easy to get these top tier composers all into one game. Let me tell you, it really isn't. So for them to be able to get all of these top tier composers in the game speaks volumes about this company and like how they started and where they are at now. Like, kudos to you guys, man. Kudos to Daimyo, yo. Putting your blood, sweat, and tears in all of this and making sure you guys give us a quality game, you know, a top tier quality beat 'em up. Because I've noticed a lot, like lately, like the last year or two, a lot of people who do a lot of companies who do beat 'em ups, especially when they get new IPs, they get a bit lazy. I mean, not new IPs, when they use old IPs, they get a bit lazy. They let the old IP's legacy do more of the talking rather than the actual combat for them. You know what I'm saying? So I respect that Daimyo, like, you guys, you're knocking out the park, no matter if it's your own IP, which is actually, this is their first their first IP that's actually their first beat 'em up IP for that matter too. That's theirs. They're not doing Streets of Rage. They're not doing Turtles with Shredder's Revenge. They're not doing any of those games. Like, this is not a IP that they're reviving. No, this is something that they created themselves. That's just something I notice about Daimyo, and I appreciate it. This game is going to have local and online gameplay. So if anybody's worried about, you know, if the online, if you're going to have online or local, because, yo, I've seen some beat 'em ups where they didn't have any online co-op, which is madness to me. I think after COVID, almost every multiplayer game should have an online feature to it, online co-op to some degree. Even if I get some companies are like, yo, you know, we don't want to run into the issue of it having crappy internet, but like, y'all gotta figure something out, man, because not too many people are getting together like that and playing these games, unless it's like a super duper casual game where it's meant to play in person. Then I get it, but beat 'em ups are meant to be played in general with just multiple people, like either offline or online. And again, since COVID happened, it kind of made it close to like to being a prerequisite for the creation of a beat 'em up, you know. So again, this game is gonna have offline and online, or whether you're gonna call it couch play co-op. Now I know y'all asking, is this game going to have drop in and out play? No, it's not. In order to get in the game, you got to be invited via like room code. So I mean, I guess it sounds a bit of a bummer, but that's just what it is. Just like any roguelike, this game is going to have different skill trees you can choose from, different skill routes you can choose from to kind of like make it unique, make your character like fit your play style, or make your character a bit different from everyone else, you know. So that's pretty dope. I like how they added that. But usually a lot of roguelikes have that feature where there's different skill trees you can choose from, just to bump up the replayability. As always, you know, this is a prerequisite of a lot of games nowadays. There's achievements you can unlock. So all you achievement enthusiasts, you could definitely unlock achievements in this game. Get ready for that. I know some of you guys and girls are wondering, are there going to be areas in the game where there's going to be some kind of tutorial? Because I know games like Streets of Rage, and I think, yeah, Streets of Rage, they didn't really have a tutorial right off. If I'm not mistaken, I do not remember that. I know Shredder's Revenge had an area, like a dojo area, and I think in the beginning when you first play the game, this game does have that too. They have a throughout the game, I guess the first stage is kind of like the tutorial. So as you progress, there's little people that come up and tell you little tips and everything. On top of that, there's like a area where, like an arena area, where they teach you like different tips on how to, you know, fight, the fighting mechanics of the game. So if people wondering, is there a tutorial? Is this game just going to throw you in the mix? No, there's tutorials throughout the game in different aspects of the game, in different capacities. So don't worry about getting lost in the sauce. This game is definitely not gonna hold your hand, but it's gonna teach you and give you tips to like help you to success in the game. So I know people are wondering when it comes to online and you play somebody's game. Based off what I've seen in this video, it seems you are able to, like, whatever you obtain in their game, you carry over into your game when you play, I guess, offline and or online. So again, whatever you obtain playing with somebody else, you are able to carry over to your game. Now, when it comes to, let's just say you get pulled into an online session with your buddy, and you haven't progressed as much as he or she. From what I gather is that, so there's no spoilers. Game gets based off of your game, your progress. That way there's no spoilers. So that's pretty dope that they did something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I like that. I kind of like that, you know, because I've played other games where you go into somebody else's game and they progress further than you, and you're like, what the hell? Like, I'm fighting you're on the last stage and I'm like on the first stage, and that just kind of kills the buzz of the game, you know, kills the excitement for you to like go through new stuff. So I like that they added that feature in the game. Now, I know people were saying, or people are also wondering, yo, because I know a lot of beat 'em ups, you're not able to pick the same characters. Like, you're bounded to, like, and people will fight over this. I know Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, they added this feature in later on. I think on the DLC they added this. Right off jump, in this game, you're able to pick the same characters, just different colors. That's all. So that's pretty dope. I appreciate that they added that, because again, the game is gonna have 4 characters to choose from, but you start off with 2 characters, so it's kind of gonna be like, dang. So I know people are like, yo, am I bounded to just playing with the elf because my buddy has the other character with the great sword? No, you pick whoever you want. That's dope. I appreciate that. Now, for a big, this is some big news. I know everybody who played Streets of Rage 4, and they wanted the ability to play 4 players. And, you know, .emu was saying, listen, they wasn't even going to have online in the beginning. And they explain why. Again, these guys are perfectionists. They want to provide you guys with good quality. So I remember the interview, they said they didn't want to add 4 players to Streets of Rage 4 because they already knew that the online play wasn't the best. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it wasn't the best. You can have a decent time with people, but there were times where the online was just horrendous, you know, super duper horrendous. But now, as time went on, they got their notoriety up. I'm sure they got their paper up, you know, they got their experience up. And I guess they did their research, they due diligence by beat 'em up community. Shredder's Revenge, the online play started to get a lot better. So now we're at Absolum, right? And guess what? Things have changed. Let me tell you how. We freaking got rollback netcode for this game. I don't think any beat 'em up so far has rollback netcode. I think maybe 1 or 2, but very rare. Rollback netcode isn't easy to come by. But the reason why this could work with beat 'em ups, and I guess they did their research, they due diligence, like I said, they understood that why this works well with a beat 'em up, and it's not as hard to implement in a beat 'em up as a fighting game. That's probably was the confusion with some people. But with a beat 'em up, I'm explaining to you why this works well with a beat 'em up rather than it being a little bit more challenging with a fighting game. Now, a beat 'em up, you only interact with mainly you interact like 90% of the time you interact with the AI, like with the computer. You know what I'm saying? Like the enemies. You do not fight the person that you're doing the co-op with. And plus, since this game friendly fire is off, you don't have to worry about interactions. And what happens is when you for fighting games, there's a lot that goes into online gameplay, because there's not only the obviously the actual stage, the stuff that goes on the stage. If you have stuff like that, the meats and potatoes of the difficulty is the fact that the game, the rollback netcode has to constantly be up to speed with how the characters interact with each other, how you interact with your opponent, which is both humans. You know, the buttons you press, just the move sets, everything just all into one. So again, when it comes to beat 'em up, number one, beat 'em ups are a lot slower than fighting games, right? Number two, it's not really a beat 'em ups are the focus of beat 'em ups aren't PvP. Even though some beat 'em ups have PvP, beat 'em ups in general, at the baseline for it, there is no PvP really. There's just you AI, or you and a buddy AI. So everything is a little bit more limited, or rather not as much work is needed to maintain a rollback netcode for a beat 'em up, if I'm making sense to anybody at home. Again, rollback netcode is easier to maintain for beat 'em ups because it's more so you versus AI than PvP, or you versus another human. As opposed to fighting games, there's a lot of coding and everything that goes into it, because it's two humans doing random stuff that the rollback netcode has to keep up with and constantly update. That way everything is fluid, you know, as opposed to a computer AI, everything is kind of limited. You know, they already programmed what's going on, so the rollback netcode can kind of keep up with that, and then most of the bulk of the netcoding will be offsetted onto the human movesets on what they do. If I'm making sense to you guys. So, and another thing, you don't understand how good this is for beat 'em ups. And again, I hope this sets the precedent for other beat 'em ups to implement this into their games, because a lot of times .emu, they be setting the precedents for a lot of beat 'em ups to follow suit. You know, they be just setting the bar like this high every time. Again, you don't know how many, like, there's not too many beat 'em ups with rollback netcode. Not too many beat 'em ups. So this is to me almost groundbreaking, yo. Almost groundbreaking, almost. So now I know you guys and girls are wondering, is this game going to have early access like other games where they try to build you up? You know, sometimes I want to call it a cash grab, because it's like you're paying for early access, but then you don't get the full game. And then I think when the full game comes out, you pay either extra amount of money. Like, I'm not a fan of early access, to be honest with you, you know, because you're paying for like you're paying for unfinished game on one hand, but then the other hand, you're you know, I guess you're part of the game's development, which could be dope. I'm like in between when it comes to that. So to answer the question, is this going to be early access or full release? This game is going to be full release. I don't even think they're going to have a demo for people to play. They usually don't do that. That's just their motto, their forte. They don't really do demos or anything of that sort. It's like once they release a game, put out a trailer, you wait, and you just gotta wait for the game to be fully released, and that's just how it is. I mean, it's not a bad method. That's kind of like the old school method anyway. Like, old school method is literally we tell you about the game, and then you just gotta wait for the game to come out. That's literally what it is. And if you want to try like somewhat of a demo of the game, you gotta go to like maybe a gaming convention, but that's the closest you're gonna get to a demo. Something that's very tight knit between the developers, and I think that's good because it stops early piracy. You know, the game, people taking the game and then cracking it and seeing freaking DLC, seeing all of these different things for the game, because now we live in a day and age where people could just take a game, look at all the files, and, you know, basically release stuff that hasn't been said about the game yet. You know, any kind of press releases for the game like this. Like, they could do stuff like that now. So I think it's smart that they actually just trailer, give certain people rights to show like a world premiere of the game, have them uninstall it. Then also you gotta go to like maybe a game convention to play it, where they have the actual staff there, like governing over how the game is played and everything. So that's good. I think a lot of companies should just follow that kind of like system to keep their games, keep the integrity of the game still going, and just keep the privacy of the game still good. So yeah, again, this game is going to be a full release, no demo release to the public, and no early access. So I don't know if you guys know like Dead Cells, if you ever played it. You know, after every run, there's this little area where all of the I guess the power-ups and weapons you encounter is like in these containers that are hanging up in the sky, like hanging up like off the ceiling, right? In this game, they have something resembling that, where every kind of power-up you encounter, you go into this room and you'll see like them floating in the air a bit, and you can see all of the stuff, all of the power-ups you encounter. I guess that's a little dope thing, and a lot of roguelikes have that, so that's a cool feature to have. You know, they're definitely taking it. They definitely did their homework in regards how roguelikes function. You know, little tidbits of roguelikes, and you know what makes a roguelike a roguelike. So, like I said before, it's a 2-player game, 4 characters you could choose from. The first 2 characters are the characters that are like just unlocked as soon as the game starts. Like they're the beginning characters you could choose from. The next 2 characters, the last 2 characters that are in the game, those characters you don't get right off the rip. You gotta actually progress in the game, meet them, and then recruit them. So that's pretty dope. I mean, they want to kind of like give people an incentive to play the game instead of just right off the rip giving you characters. I guess that's something. I mean, I don't think it's 100% necessary, but again, to each his own. You know, and roguelikes kind of have stuff like that as well. So I'm not hating it. Because I already kind of see what character I'm going to use. If you don't have the character that fits your build or fits your style right off rip, you know, give the game a chance until you get the other 2 characters. Now, this game, again, like I was saying before, about the whole tutorial area. The tutorials in this game is a mixture of when you progress through the game, especially the first, I guess, area of the game, they give you tips along the way. But on top of that, there's like a little arena where you fight, and then they give you tips on how to reflect, dodge, run, things like that. Now, in this training area, which is freaking dope, you can actually do PvP matches with your buddy that you play online and offline. Again, this training area, you could do PvP matches against your offline and online buddy just to practice combos, you know, orchestrate different scenarios just to try to sharpen up your sword. You know, no pun intended, but yeah. So this area, that's pretty a dope feature. Not too many beat 'em ups have that. I mean, Streets of Rage, they have like a dual mode, but you got to go completely out the game. You got to pick that mode and fight, yada yada. And it's kind of not like, it's almost not the same as fighting enemies. In this game, it seems kind of similar to fighting bosses or enemies. So I like that. I like that a lot. You know, it makes it seamless. You don't have to leave the game to go into this mode. No, this is part of the actual game. You go to area in the game, and then, you know, you can set that up. So yeah, this is pretty dope, man. This game is looking like it's, I don't want to say game of the year, but it's looking like beat 'em up of the year. And this game might receive some awards. I think this game is so far set to receive some kind of award, you know, somewhere, you know. So it's like, I'm willing to even bet. I'm willing to bet that this game, if there was a beat 'em up of the year kind of award, this game will probably be #1 for right now, based off everything, you know. So let's see what this game brings. Now, based off of what they said in this video, it seems to me this is something I'm not a fan of. But again, I'm always willing to see how things work out when the game comes out. There's only one difficulty you can set to this game. Me and a few other guys are like the 1%ers. We like the anomalies when it comes to beat 'em ups. We want some crazy difficulties. So it seems to me that this game is only have one difficulty, but they did talk about like you being able to scale how much life and damage and stuff enemies could take from you, how much HP you have. So it's like they use an example as if you're playing with like your little brother, a very young kid, and you know they have a tendency of getting frustrated playing games like this. what you could do is you could probably scale it to where they get more HP right off rip, and then maybe enemies don't take as much. So this game is very custom. You could customize this game a decent amount, it seems to me, you know. But that's based off what I'm hearing from the actual, or rather seeing and hearing from Max's playthrough, talking to the developers. Now I know everyone's like, okay, I know some people wondering why did they make it this art style? Number one, I believe Streets of Rage 4 was close to this, but this is a little bit more comic book than Streets of Rage, way more comic book. And supposedly they got the comic book influence or the inspiration French comic books, but they got it from that. The style of the game is from that. Also was influenced by like the comic book Hellboy. So again, the inspiration behind the game's art style is based off of French comic books and Hellboy comics. That's pretty dope and inspirational to even hear that, you know. There's always somebody giving inspiration to somebody. I like the fact that these guys, like they pick from different things and they mesh it well, and they mesh it all into one game, you know, when it comes to the composers, the art style, the fighting mechanics, things like that. So, you know, kudos to you guys once again at .emu. You guys, y'all doing God's work right now when it comes to beat 'em ups, for real. If anybody's wondering where did they get the engine from, where did they get the engine? The engine comes from Streets of Rage 4, so it's an evolved Streets of Rage 4 engine, because obviously some of these things are not from Streets of Rage. Like some extra things that you see or that I explained to you guys aren't from Streets of Rage 4, but the base, like fighting mechanics or fighting engine, is from Streets of Rage 4. So if that answers your question, you know, and all you guys love Streets of Rage 4, you're definitely gonna like this game. So it's gonna be like an evolved Streets of Rage 4 when it comes to the fighting mechanics. So yeah, it's dope. Now, remember how I said that this game is very unforgiving when it comes to getting some kind of items to regenerate your life? Well, they threw us a bone by this feature. Just like Shredder's Revenge, you're able to basically revive any down players. So if you get down, your companion can wake you up to revive you. And if they get down, you're able to revive them. So that's a dope feature that they added in the game. And I think this game kind of needs that, because again, they're very unforgiving when it comes to giving you more life. Yeah, once your life is down, you're gonna have to be waiting a while to get more life, for real. Now, as far as supers, special, like there's special moves, I already explained that, right? Your arcane is linked to your special moves, right? But when it comes to things like supers, ultimate attacks, whatever you want to call it, let's just think of Streets of Rage 4, right? When it comes to your star moves, this game is going to have something like your star moves. You can only do it once every time you get like this item. And ironically, it's a star. So once you get that star, you're able to do your star moves. Or your ultimate move. That's what it's called. Like an ultimate strike or something like that. You're able to do that once you get the star. So if that answers anybody, I hope that answers people's question. Is there going to be supers or ultimates? Yes, this game has supers, ultimates. But you can only do them if you pick up star that's in the game. Another confirmation right here. The game is completely hand drawn. Just like Streets of Rage 4, they put in work, man. Like I said, their work ethics are out of this world. Like hand drawn is ridiculous in my opinion, you know. So yeah, shout out to you guys at Super Monk. You guys are doing God's work, because it's not easy to make a hand drawn, like 100% hand drawn game. And finally, I know some people are bummed that it's not a 4-player game, but you guys gotta understand, with it being hand drawn, having the engine of Streets of Rage 4, having all of the enemies on the field, also it being a roguelike, right? It makes it more difficult for them to add 2 extra players on the screen. It really makes it more difficult and chaotic. And based off of me watching this video, the developers were saying stuff like they wanted it kind of be more focused, because when you add 2 extra people, sometimes it becomes chaotic in a way with not only just the combat, but to me, this game seems like they added like some kind of in-depth story to it. Like Streets of Rage 4, Shredder's Revenge, this story wasn't too in-depth. This game has a little bit more story. It was a little bit more story-driven than the previous beat-em-ups that they worked on. So I think they want people to really pay attention to the story, not skip the dialogue. And with 4 players, it's tough, especially when you play a beat 'em up. Beat 'em up is just literally people mashing buttons. I'm not gonna hold you. People, a lot of times people think of beat 'em that is synonymous for freaking button mashing. Literally. So it's like for you to have 4 other people who was like who have like small or short attention span, they're gonna want to just skip the dialogue and just like, when are we gonna fight the next person? Literally. So they kind of like made it to where they want the probability of people focusing on the story a lot higher with less people rather than more people, and it being a less of a chance for people to focus on the story. So I get it. Maybe the DLC might add more players. I don't know. Maybe the next part, maybe part 2 might add more players as they get better at, you know, crafting this particular roguelike, you know, because this is like the first roguelike beat 'em up they've made before. Honestly, this is probably like one of the first. I would even go as far as saying this is the first probably AAA roguelike beat 'em up. I think .emu, like, they graduated to being a AAA company when it comes to making beat 'em up for sure. You know, definitely. So this is like the first AAA roguelike beat 'em up. So hopefully this sets the bar and influences more people, encourages more people to make beat 'em ups of this capacity. You know, I'm definitely going to talk more about roguelike and beat 'em ups and how the two should be married. And this to me is like the evolution of beat 'em ups. I think roguelike, beat 'em ups, and then there's one other like piece of the puzzle that needs to be added to really elevate beat 'em up. But yeah, this is dope, man. I can't wait for this game. The details that I found just from this 2-hour-long playthrough that Maximilian did, like this just like really made me sold on me getting the game, you know. And I'm sure it made other people at home. And I hope this video helps you guys and girls become more enthusiastic about the game, and it gives you a little bit more of an insight of how the game is, like the mechanics of the game, the thought process behind the game, and everything like that. Oh, also I forgot to mention one other detail, that just like I said, Guard Crush is responsible for the fighting mechanics. Jordy from Guard Crush, like, he's like a fan favorite. He's part of the team in Guard Crush that's helping out with this game. Shout out to you, Jordy. Hope the most success for this game, man, and the company, for real. You guys are doing God's work right now. So what you guys and girls think in the comment section below. Let me know. The full stream for this playthrough that Maximilian did for this game, covered for this game, will be in the description below. Shout outs to Maximilian, dude, man. You the man for getting him to give you, out of everybody, a sneak peek, or rather the first exclusive demo playthrough of this game, man. You are deserving of being the first person to be able to get your hands on this demo of the game, you know. I can't think of nobody else, so like, yeah, shout outs to you again. Rise of the beat 'em ups, baby. Like, this is the rise of the beat 'em ups, man. This is, I keep saying this, we keep going up and down, man. This is another rise of the beat 'em ups, man. If you got people like Max covering the game and giving the game its flowers, like the company the flowers, like, yo, this is only the beginning of something probably beautiful to happen, wonderful to happen for the beat 'em up genre. Let's see what happens. Hopefully the game sells well, and it inspires more people to make beat 'em ups like this, or maybe even elevate the beat 'em up genre even more, you know. So anyway, with that being said, this is your boy Wes. I'm out of here. Peace. Also, listen to Max. Max is going to say some stuff about the game. Listen to Max's final thoughts on the game.
The combat feels like relatively weighted, but also very loose, you know, like what you could do. I was able to dash cancel out of the majority of attacks that I had, and quite literally there's like a jumping launcher, which was very fun, and then it leads to obviously air stuff. So it feels like there's a limitation. Loose is back, dude. They're giving you some stuff to work with. They're definitely giving you like a lot of tools, even at a core foundational level, and that's not even including the crazy build stuff, you know. Like, so much is going to change per run in terms of how you eventually get in there. But it already seemed like, yeah, this multi-hitting thing is really good. Fire's really good, you know, immediately right at the start. It's a good time for beat 'em ups. Yeah, I knew that it was going to be a beat 'em up roguelite, but as soon as I was playing it, I'm like, oh, this is actually a full commitment. Because again, .mu and the idea of showing this off early was, the whole point was that I didn't know much, that I can like look into it, but not to play the game early to get like first impressions like live on stream, right? So I was listening to and reading what the game was, I'm like, that sounds fascinating. We'll give it a shot. A beat 'em up roguelite sounds like that could be Hades. You know, that could also be considered Hades. But as soon as I played it, you're like, oh, wait a minute, no. It's like a beat 'em up #1. And then the roguelite elements start really showing as you play through it a bit, and you're like, oh, now the roguelite stuff is really kicking in. So again, the fact that, you know, it's a beat 'em up and it's a full commitment to beating a beat 'em up roguelite, which was in Streets of Rage 4, which was kind of an idea, is neat. I didn't expect it to be like that. Yeah, I didn't expect it to have all of those things kind of put together. So, and in my opinion, I mean, again, I like beat 'em ups, but I don't love them. I love AVP. All I have to say is that felt like a very natural evolution when we were playing games like the Turtles game, when we were playing Streets of Rage, when they were introducing certain modes like that. It's like, oh, yeah, this sort of fixes the issue I have with beat 'em ups, where I'm gonna kind of play them once and then never play them again. You know, like my whole reason is like, yeah, beat 'em ups are kind of like a 30 to 45 minute adventure, and then maybe I'll come back to it like 3, 4, 5, 6 years later or something like that and enjoy it. But once you turn it into a roguelite with like different elements and different paths and routes, oh, suddenly replayability is way better. Suddenly it's like you take this roguelite aspect of it and inject it into a beat 'em up, and the game becomes so much better in my opinion. But the issue is like is multiplay, right? The issue is having a ton of different players and full commitment to it, which is why I understand why they went with like a 2-player co-op, you know? Because even they were saying at the same point during development, the game was many different things. It was like trying to be a beat 'em up, trying to be a roguelite. You know, it changed several different times early on to get to the point where they're doing this kind of thing, you know? Golden Axe 3 did this alt route stuff to increase replayability, but it got kind of ignored. Right, and in this one, now there's reasons to do that because you know that this boss might potentially drop something better, so you're going to go to that route, you know? All that kind of stuff. Anyway, all I'm saying is that I think it's neat that they went full commitment, right? It's a full commitment to like, well, we're just making the whole game this. This is neat. I hope, and we're not, this is outside of being sponsored, you know, because they hit me up to check out the game and show it off. I hope that there's eventually like a demo of some kind. I really do. I hope that there's something that everybody that would be on a potential PlayStation or Switch version can just jump on and have like a co-op demo with a friend and make some different builds and stuff, like an early version. I do hope that that is something that eventually is available, that is just like only a couple routes, a small chunk of the game, just the first boss, you know? Because yeah, I think playing it is quite fun. Dude, as soon as it had Streets of Rage like lane dodges where you can dodge into the foreground and do like a counter strike, or dodge into the background and do a counter strike, it opened up so much more. Because that's one thing I desperately don't like about beat 'em ups, is managing the vertical. The horizontal's fine, dude, but like the moving in and out and weaving it up the screen and down the screen is always a pain in the neck. You just have to like walk up there or like move in that direction. Having things that don't just cover horizontal space and actually cover the vertical space as well is so much better. It's just this part that bugs the heck out of me in most beat 'em ups, you know what I mean? So them giving characters that ability intrinsically, everybody gets that, is like, that fixes that problem straight up. I would look at the boss do an attack, I'm not even gonna parry it, I'm just gonna whoop, I'm just gonna dodge to the side. It's so much better. Anyway, cool. Cool. Wish them the best of luck for making the game come out this year. And yeah, I can't wait till it comes out. Like, holy crap.